Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles
Good morning,
west good afternoon of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Guys, this is a great day. It really is. Captain's Log, 7/14/2025. Captain's Log, 7/14/2025. A great day in the neighborhood, guys. We have a lot of information to show you tonight, and I have even more information to give you. Please stay tuned for all of our programming. Please don't leave just because you get in here and you may not say that you even want to be here. But you're going to want to be here for what we have to show you tonight. Please stay here for the entire program. Don't leave after 10 or 15 minutes, even 5 minutes. Stay here for the entire program. Also, if you enjoy what we're doing here, please give us a thumbs up. Okay? That's paramount. Please give us a thumbs up if you like what we're seeing here. Guys, also, you see our PayPal and our Venmo scrolling by on the bottom of your screen. If you enjoy what we're doing here, please help support us. You'll also see our email address. If you have any complaints, concerns, or comments, please put them in an email and send it over to us. Also, after this program is over, just below this video today, you're going to see the comment section. Go down there and leave your comments in that section as well. We greatly appreciate it. Also, you see our address, our mailing address. Our mailing address is 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, North Carolina. We'd appreciate your cards and letters as well. Thank you so much for that. Inside your cards and letters, you can also slip a donation in that card or letter to help support this program. Appreciate it a lot. Now, the first thing I want to do, guys, this is hot off the presses. This just came in. Okay? Dan Bongino. Is he in or out? Okay? We've reported a lot about what President Trump is and is not doing. But Dan Bongino was asked by the president to be the deputy director of the FBI and stand beside Kash Patel. I want to play this segment for you and let you know what's going on with that.
Spenny, President Trump has just announced Dan Bongino's fate as Deputy FBI Director, and it is about as dramatic of a standoff as you can imagine. It is because of Dan Bongino walking off the job at the FBI that we saw the absolute breaking of the administration over the Epstein saga crisis PR nightmare that is currently ongoing and smoldering inside of the Trump administration. Right here, starting on Friday, where Dan Bongino left his post at the FBI, threw down the gauntlet and said, I will not be working with Pam Bondi. It's her or me. Many reporters that we respect, many first-hand sources confirmed to us that that is what Dan Bongino told Kash Patel and President Trump. This is because Dan Bongino saw the horrific after effects of the botched rollout of the memo that said effectively Jeffrey Epstein was a cool dude. Don't worry about it. Ghislaine Maxwell's a political prisoner. They traffic nobody to nobody. And everyone move along. President Trump has subsequently added fuel to that fire by saying and seemingly contradicting the original memo by saying there's an entire Epstein file. There's lots of content there. However, we're not going to let anybody see it because it was created by Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. I'm not sure if this is helpful. It sure as hell didn't seem helpful because, as you can see here, it's a cooking ratio like we've never seen before on Truth Social. 43,000 replies. President Trump getting ratioed on his own platform became a massive news story over the past 24 hours. Anyway, the point is that with President Trump backing Pam Bondi here and saying Pam Bondi is doing great, she's perfect, she's doing a fantastic job, everybody assumed that Dan Bongino was out of a job. Everyone assumes that this was President Trump picking Pam Bondi over Dan Bongino.
They don't believe how toxic this is.
Okay, that's where I'm going to end it there. Right now, Dan Bongino has walked off the job. As I said, It's either him or Pam Bondi. President Trump right now is backing Pam Bondi, told Kash Patel and the nation that Pam Bondi is doing a fantastic job. Bondi is the Attorney General. In my opinion only, and I've been watching her, she's not doing a fantastic job at all. She's lied to the public. On multiple occasions, including on Fox News, she said that there was plenty of information and even files and videos on what happened to Epstein. That's a lie. On this program about a week and a half ago, we showed you a video allegedly from the New York Federal Correctional Center that showed false information. Okay? The government said that that video showed where Epstein's cell was, which was false. Epstein's cell was on one level above that. That level that they showed us on the video was the area where all the prisoners can be let out. It's called the day area. That's not where his cell was. His cell was one level above it. It showed also a door where an employee came out of that door and put a trash can in the middle of the room. That's obviously not where the cells are. Also, one of the doors that allegedly they said that Epstein was in was only partially shown, like about that much of the door. That's not his cell. As I said, his cell was one level above that. So the government lied about that as well. They're not telling us the truth at all. Pam Bondi's lied to the public. She said there were files on her desk. She even came out in a press conference with a binder saying these are part of the Epstein files, and there's even more just like it. Guess what? She lied to the public. Now she's saying there are no files at all. Yet the Justice Department last Friday put out 180 pages of flight logs showing quite a few people's names on it, but redacting everything else. What do we know about Pam Bondi? Lying to the public. Okay? If President Trump continues to do this, he's going to find himself in a lot of trouble. Yes, I have backed President Trump up until this time. Okay? I have totally backed President Trump up until this time, and I've been even backed Pam Bondi. But now I'm crossing the line here. I'm totally going to back Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, 100%. Even Kash Patel has said that if this continues, he may walk out himself. Yes, Kash Patel said that if this continues, he may even walk out himself. Dan Bongino has known President Trump for many years, and President Trump even admitted that. Dan Bongino is a very confident guy. He's very honest. Many of us have seen his programs on YouTube. He's been honest with everybody. He's never lied to us yet. And yet Pam Bondi is making him look like a stupid idiot. And in fact, Pam Bondi said that Dan Bongino leaked information, which was an out-and-out lie. So I have a feeling that a lot of things are going on in Washington, D.C., in the White House, and I have a feeling we're going to hear from President Trump very soon about some changes in the FBI and or the Attorney General. Okay? That's a hot off the press story. Now, there's also information about Tom Homan. There's plenty of information about Tom Homan going on. I want to play you a clip of Tom Homan that goes off on Democrat politicians whining about Alligator Alcatraz.
Detainees complain about the conditions of detention. And I said this many times. You can simply go to ICE.gov and look at the detention standards ICE has. They have the highest detention standards in the industry. But these same congressmen are complaining about Alligator Alcatraz. You didn't see them complaining about, under Biden administration, people being held in a Border Patrol parking lot surrounded by a fence in the sweltering heat. Not a word. You didn't hear a word about 500,000 children being trafficked in the country and them not being able to locate 300,000. President Trump, this administration is finding thousands of those children. So, you know, they have a lot of anger under President Trump on how we're doing business, and they ignored 4 years of open borders, historic migrant death, historic Americans dying from fentanyl, historic numbers of women and children being sex trafficked, historic number of people on terrorist watch lists coming across the border. Silence. Silence. I mean, bottom line is, you know, from the day one, I've been doing this job since 1984. Detainees complain about the conditions of detention. And I said this many times, you can simply go to ICE.gov and look at the detention standards ICE has. They have the high.
Okay. Go over to ICE.gov if you have questions and look at the detention standards. During the Obama and the Biden White House, they had fences around parking lots housing the detainees that ICE had rounded up. That was under the Biden and Obama White House. That is not the case now. That is absolutely not the case now, and a lot of things have been proved. Okay? Yes, we have congressmen and women that are complaining about the conditions at Alcatraz, saying that it's too hot. Yet there are detainees there saying it's too cold, that the air conditioning is too cold. Which is it? Those congressmen and women were down there when President Trump was touring the facility. The conditions are not too hot at all. The Democrat congressmen and women are blowing steam off the top of their head because they don't want their people. They don't want their illegal aliens to be deported back to where they came from. That's what's really going on. The Democrat congressmen and women in Washington, D.C. don't want their voters that they brought from all around the world. 140 countries around the world took out their prisoners from the jails, took out people from mental institutions all around this world and sent them here in the United States. And since that time, since President Trump has been elected, he's been deporting them, cleaning up this country. People that are felons. He went after the felons. He went after the gang members, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, sending them back where they came from. He's gone off after these felons and other illegal aliens and sending them back to where they came from. But the Democrat congressmen and women wanted them to stay so they could vote for them. That era is over. That era is over. Long gone. People of the United States here, our men and women here that are citizens, don't want those illegal aliens here. Now, I have a map that I'm not going to show you today, but maybe tomorrow. I have a map, and I have videos showing the people that have been kept in this country. Right where I live in North Carolina, right where I live here in North Carolina, there are 640,000 people that are illegal aliens. 640,000 people here in North Carolina that are illegal aliens. What about that? That's because we had a Democrat governor that allowed them in this country, that allowed them in the state. Other blue states did the same thing. Unreal. CC is here in the chat saying, how hot was it when they walked through the Mexican desert to get here? I agree. I agree. It was very hot. People even died in the Mexican desert. People died from mosquito bites. Unreal. What happened there? The Democrat communists here in this country don't like it. Too darn bad. Too darn bad. What happens in Canada, guys? What is happening in Canada? Even Canada has allowed these illegal aliens to leave Canada to come here to the United States because they went to Canada thinking they could cross a border that had no fences on it. That's true. That's true. But guess what? Our Customs Border Protection and Border Patrol are stopping that as well. And today, President Trump has gone a step further. He's gone a step further. The Prime Minister of Canada has not wanted to negotiate with President Trump, and has also, in fact, wanted his country to just be able to ship goods from Canada into the United States without any problem. Not any tariffs or anything. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. President Trump threw a huge tariff on Canada, and in fact, told Canada, you may not sell anything here in the United States at all. Then the Prime Minister and the other MPs from the Parliament in Canada tried to go to Europe to market their goods from Canada. Well, Europe wants no part of it. They had a gasoline pipeline that was going to pump gas from Canada into the United States. Guess what? That's over as well. President Trump stopped it before it even started. So Canada is in a world of hurt, only because of their prime minister. Their prime minister just 2 months ago was here in the United States negotiating with President Trump. Now he's gone back to Canada and has turned another leaf, a bad leaf. He's turned another bad leaf. It's not going to happen. The Canadian people are going to also have hardship because of what their prime minister has done. Prices are all over the place in Canada. You think prices are high here in the United States? Guess what? They're worse in Canada. Richard Smith is in Nova Scotia, Canada. He says, Carnival Carney. I'm sure our buddy Canadian Patriot says the same thing. In fact, Canadian Patriots here in the chat saying it appears to him that all patients from the insane asylums are now here in government. His own government has people from the insane asylums. Yeah, I believe that. I've seen them talk. I've been watching Canada for some time because I love my friends in Canada. I've wanted to help them, and I have. But folks, there is a line to cross, and Carney has crossed the line in a bad way. So things are really going to happen in a bad way for Canada, and it's not the United States that's doing it. It's Carney. It's Carney. And I feel for all of you here in Canada that are having to put up with that kind of crap. Okay? We have a great many people here in our EMA family from Canada, and I only wish you guys the best. I love each and every one of you. It's so sad what's going on. Very sad. Alan Newton says that Tom Homan is about to strike the fear of God into Portland. He absolutely is. Tom Homan has already sent ICE there. Tom Homan is also going there as well. They're going to strike the fear of God into the city council of Portland. Portland has allowed these illegal aliens in just as Washington has. It's turned their states upside down. Totally upside down. It's terrible. It's really terrible. Portland and even Seattle, Tacoma area is going to be turned upside down by Tom Homan. Okay? The way they have government situated in those states, they are protecting the illegal aliens. Totally protecting the illegal aliens. And Karen Bass in Los Angeles said, we're going to protect our Angelinos, no matter where they are or where they came from or when they came into Los Angeles. She said she is going to protect all Angelinos. Really? ICE this weekend went into MacArthur Park over just outside the area where my wife was born. Yeah, MacArthur Park, where they've had all kinds of gang rapes, gang infestations, and everything else. ICE went in there and made a lot of arrests. But one thing is interesting about that. Guess what happened before ICE got there? The gang members in Los Angeles had been tipped off to leave MacArthur Park, and most of them did. ICE still made a lot of arrests, but They did not make as many arrests because the gang members had been tipped off by somebody. Incredible. Incredible. Something's going to happen. Something is going to happen very soon. Okay? Anyway, enough about politics. I want to start off with that because I don't want to end with it. Guys, we still have information coming in about the volcanoes in Washington State. I'm going to show you seismic events at the volcanoes north to south, starting with Mount Baker in Washington State. Let's go there right now. Okay? This is Mount Rainier. Okay, I said I'd start with Mount Baker. I'm going to start with Mount Rainier here. Then we'll go to Mount Baker and then go south from there. This is Mount Rainier. Camp Sherman. Mount Rainier, Camp Sherman. Look at what's still happening. Yes, we are still having earthquakes at Mount Rainier. All kinds of earthquakes still at Mount Rainier. However, they are not as prevalent as they were this past week. Yes, you still see at least 4 3.0 and large earthquakes here. You see 4 3.0 earthquakes and larger here. One yesterday evening just after 6:15 on the right-hand side. That's approximately 6:25 p.m. yesterday evening. That appears to be a 3.0, but the top of that seismic signal is off the chart because it should have been on the previous chart. Top of that signal should have been on the previous chart, but it's not. That's at least a 3.0 earthquake. The next one here is after 9:15. 9:15 over on the left-hand side. Here is approximately 9:24. Approximately 9:24 p.m. yesterday evening. This is a 3.2 earthquake, as we see it here. The next earthquake happened after 11 p.m. over on the left-hand side, where this earthquake here is on the black line here in the center, upper center of your screen here. This appears to be a 3.2 earthquake as well. You can't see the bottom of it because they cut it off. This appears to be a 3.2 earthquake as well. The next 3.2 earthquake came down here early this morning after 6 a.m. Approximately 6:04 a.m. this morning, a 3.2 earthquake hit Mount Rainier. You see all kinds of other tremors here. See all kinds of other tremors and minor earthquakes as well. Stephen Braden just gave us a $10 super chat. Stephen, thank you so much for that $10 super chat. I'm giving you EMA sticker on your super chat. I'm also giving you a thumbs up for that. He says, thank you, Ron. God bless you. Thank you, Stephen. God bless you. We appreciate all of your support here on super chats or over to our Venmo or PayPal locations, or if you mail us a check or send money over in a card or letter, we appreciate that greatly. We really do. It means a lot to us. Help support this channel. So thank you, Stephen, for that. But anyway, guys, you see a lot of other minor earthquakes and tremors here. If you see a very short line here or a blip on any one line, I want to explain this seismograph so you know what, or seismograph is a machine that records this information. The seismogram is the graph that you're seeing in front of you. Each horizontal line here is 20 minutes long. 20 minutes long. Okay? The vertical lines here are the earthquakes and or tremors here. The very short lines or the blip on a line are tremors. These tiny blips on these lines are 1.0 tremors. If you see any wiggling on individual lines, those are microquakes. Those are microquakes. Yes, we do have some 2.7 2.8 earthquakes here. One is up here on the upper right here. And it's on the black line after 1900 hours. You see 19 over on the left. That is 1900 hours military time. That's what USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network have for these earthquakes. Okay, but the vertical lines are these earthquakes. You see an earthquake over here on the far right. This is 7:28 p.m. last night. 7:28 p.m. last night. This is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. You see other tremors here, shorter lines. Those are tremors here. Those are tremors. Down towards the bottom, over on this blue line on the bottom right-hand side, towards the center here. Well, actually, it's on the black line. I'm sorry. The black line here. This is after 8 a.m. on the left-hand side. 08 is 0800. 8 a.m. on the left-hand side. Over here, this is approximately 8:16 a.m. this morning. A 2.0 earthquake. 2.0 minor earthquake. There are plenty of minor earthquakes here as well. Okay? But I showed you the 4 3.0 large earthquakes here, but there's another signal here as well. You see that thin rectangle-like red symbol here on the upper left-hand side center here? That's called a magma churn signal. Magma churn signals are typically 23 to 24 lines high. But this one, guys, is very short. Let's look at this closely. Let's find out how many lines this is. We're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines high. This magma churn signal is 30 to 33% of real world. That means this experts, the seismologists, turn the seismograph down to where it's only reporting 30 to 33% of real world, which turns this seismogram upside down. These 3.0, 3.2, 3.3 earthquakes are larger than they appear. They're larger than they appear. They're probably close to 3.5 to 3.7 earthquakes. 3.5 to 3.7 earthquakes, guys. Now, what are those other lines out to the right? You see these red lines off to the right of that magma churn signal? That is steam. That is a steam signal. Anytime you see vertical lines with no dot in the middle, the vertical lines with a dot are earthquakes or tremors. This is a steam signal. Mount Rainier is steaming. Mount Rainier is steaming, guys. Mount Rainier is still in an earthquake uproar. That means Mount Rainier could erupt. Might not erupt anytime soon, but until this completely settles down, this signals an advisory. USGS is not showing it as advisory right now. It's showing green earthquakes. Green earthquakes, meaning nothing's going to be done. They're not going to put out any alert notices. However, guess what? We have had an effect on the news media in Washington and Oregon. Now, I made a statement on a comment on a news program coming out of KATU in Portland. On one of the reports where they interviewed a USGS seismologist, the seismologist lied to the audience, saying there were only tremors at Mount Rainier. This clearly shows earthquakes and tremors. Earthquakes and tremors. And in fact, on another venue last night, I made statements to that effect. And yet somebody said, and I believe it was probably a representative from the USGS, saying, oh, there's only tremors at Mount Rainier. Only tremors at Mount Rainier. Fancy that. Fancy that. As you can clearly see, it's not just tremors, it's earthquakes as well. Earthquakes as well. Yes, Mount Rainier is steaming. 2 weeks ago, I put out a report when we were talking about Mount Rainier. I put out a report that said that scientists had been up at the summit before this earthquake sequence started. Scientists had been up at the summit and saw ash at the top of Mount Rainier. So technically, Mount Rainier has already erupted. They put up an ash cloud, ash over the summit of Mount Rainier. That should strike fear in a lot of people. Yet it did not put ash out over the city necessarily. Yes, it could have been very light ash. That's the truth. It could have been very light ash. But ash still the same. Mount Rainier did erupt. That means that solid, huge lava rock plug at the top of the volcano is no longer the solid lava rock plug. It's partially disintegrated. Now, I've talked about this before, how this happens. Let me show you again. I move this microphone off this side. Hopefully, you won't lose my voice here. But as I said, there's a huge lava plug at the top of the volcano. Magma has been hammering away at that lava plug for many years now, a lot of years. Magma under pressure has been hammering on that underside of that plug for years. And as a result of that magma hammering away at that plug has also fractured. That is what magma does inside a volcanic chamber. It fractures the rock, causing these earthquakes. Okay? But in this case, that lava plug has fractured. As with my fingers here, you see fractures here or space between our fingers. That's what happened to that lava plug. Fractures or holes in that lava plug. What has that done? Those tiny fractures have allowed steam to escape like this. Hot steam from the magma. Now, there is 6 to 7% water in that magma. All magma is 6 to 7% water. Carmen Maria Cortez is asking Mount what? Sorry, I could not understand. Carmen, we're talking about Mount Rainier in Washington State. Mount Rainier in Washington State. That plug is fractured because of that constant magma hammering from underneath. Fractured, allowing that steam from the magma to escape. Now, what does hot water do when it hits anything? It enlarges those holes in anything. Hot water allows anything it's going through to enlarge the holes. The same thing with these rocks. The rocks started off with these tiny fractures, and the tiny fractures allowed the steam to escape. When the steam was escaping, it enlarged those fractures. More and more steam has escaped, and I've shown you pictures of Mount Rainier showing that. Okay? That's happened. With that steam escaping, it's enlarged those holes. As a result of that, and the constant hammering of the magma from underneath, thus the rock plug has partially disintegrated, allowing that ash to escape the volcano. That's why we have ash at the summit of Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier's had a partial eruption already. No, we have not had a lava flow down the side of the volcano because there's no lava at the top of the volcano yet. I'm saying yet, but there's going to be. There's going to be. Adam Allen, I appreciate your being here, saying this is awesome. I appreciate that very much. I'm trying to explain it in the simplest terms so everybody can understand what's going on. Okay? I'm trying to explain this. You see what is going on at Mount Rainier? The same thing is going on at Mount St. Helens as well. And to some extent, also Mount Hood. We're going to talk about Mount St. Helens and Mount Hood in a few minutes. But first, I want to take you over to Mount Baker, which is still in Washington State, up near the Canadian border. Mount Baker. Mount Baker, guys. This is Mount Baker's main page. This comes from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, where you can go yourself to see these same seismographs. This is the main page from Mount Baker. What are you seeing here? You're seeing harmonic tremors. You are seeing harmonic tremors, and if you look very closely, you also see some earthquakes. Yes, Mount Baker is experiencing earthquakes besides these tiny harmonic tremors here. Harmonic tremors caused by magma coming into Mount Baker. And yes, there is a lot of magma coming into Mount Baker. Let me show you another seismogram here coming from Mount Baker as well. I want to make sure you can clearly see these earthquakes at Mount Baker. Okay? Let me show you, let's see, let me show you the ENE channel here. Mount Baker seismograph has multiple channels. This is one of 4. This is one of 4. What you're seeing here, guys, are the harmonic tremors here, and you're seeing these earthquakes close up. Up at the top here on the blue line. Up at the top here on the blue line, just after approximately 1:30. 1:30 over on the left-hand side, you see 01 over on the left-hand side. That is 1 a.m. on the black line. The blue line here is 1:30. The blue line is 1:30. We come over here, and this is about 1:41 a.m. this morning. 1:41 a.m. this morning at Mount Baker. Guys, this is a 2.7 earthquake. A 2.7 minor earthquake at Mount Baker. Not only are we having these harmonic tremors, but we're having earthquakes as well. The next signal you see here, also on this blue line. But this one is after okay, I'm sorry about the first blue line. I was talking about that earthquake here. Earthquake I just got through showing you. That was at 9. That was at 9:41 this morning, last night. 9:41 this morning on that first blue line. This next blue line here is after midnight. 12:30 on the left-hand side. And this one is at approximately 12:08 a.m. this morning on this blue line. Actually, 12:38 this morning on this blue line here. Okay? That's only a 2.0 earthquake. We come down to the bottom here. This is a little bit different. This is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake on this black line here. This is after 10 a.m. over on the left-hand side. The black line is 10 a.m. The red lines are 10:15. The blue lines are 10:30. And normally we also have a green line here, but it's not here on the seismogram. But here on this black line here after 10 a.m. this morning, this is at approximately 12:09 or 10:09 a.m. this morning. 10:09 a.m. this morning. This is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. So Mount Baker here, just south of the Canadian border, is also experiencing earthquakes and tremors. A lot of activity. Magma coming into the magma chamber is causing that activity here. Okay, that's not all, folks. There's more. Let's go over to Baker Shuckson. Shuckson is a ski resort at Mount Baker. Look at this. Look at this seismogram here. This is nothing but magma signals here. Tremors. Harmonic tremors. Look at the bottom here. The tremors got larger, didn't they? This is constant 2.0 earthquakes here. 2.0, 2.2 earthquakes. These earthquakes started happening at approximately I want to say they start happening, it appears right now to be 10:30 and 11:15. 10:30 and 11:15 here. The blue line here is 10:30. The red line here is 11:15. 2.2 or 2.0, 2.2 earthquakes here. These are no longer tremors here. These are no longer tremors here. So what we see here is Mount Baker moving in a larger way. No, we do not have large earthquakes yet. We only have these minor earthquakes here and these tremors. That's all here at Mount Baker. We're not seeing 3.0 small earthquakes. We're only seeing these harmonic tremors and 2.0, 2.2 minor earthquakes here. But I want to show you another seismogram here at Mount Baker. This is going to show you a lot of lava, a lot of magma pouring into the magma chamber here at Mount Baker. Okay. Now this is a little bit different seismogram. Let me explain these wavy lines. These wavy lines are caused by magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Baker. These are called VLF waves, very low frequency waves caused by magma entering the magma chamber here at Mount Baker. Look at this. These are very moving waves. At some point in time, you also get down here at about 9 p.m. last night, 2100 over on the left-hand side, where it starts getting busier, doesn't it? At about 2300, it gets very busy. 2300 is 11 p.m. last night. It stayed busy till after 11 p.m. or 1 o'clock this morning. And it got busy later. Got very busy later. Guys, magma is pouring into these volcanoes. Magma is pouring into these volcanoes, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. Okay? It's incredible. It's incredible what's going on. And yet the agency wants to deny anything's going on. The agency is denying what's going on. They have, in fact, erased information. They have, in fact, erased information. Heidi Petrick just announced she gave 5 EMA memberships, 1-month memberships, to people here that are paying attention to our program tonight. Kat SK, Leonard Nimoy here, R. Farrell, Assorted Weirdness, and Psychology of 5 got 1-month memberships from Heidi Petrick. Those of you that received 1-month memberships, please thank Heidi Petrick for that. She's a wonderful lady. She's a very wonderful lady that continues to give memberships to other people here on our channel. God bless you, Heidi. We appreciate you so much. Heidi's awesome. Heidi's awesome. But this is what is going on here. This is what's going on here at Mount Baker. It's going on everywhere. This is not the only place it's going on. Okay? Let's drop south to Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak is another volcano just about 40 miles southwest of Mount Baker. Look what's going on here. Nothing but tremors. Nothing but tremors. See this activity here? All these crazy lines here? We have 2 sections where this seismic activity is happening. This seismic activity is not happening at these volcanoes, however. These swirly lines here, we've had some large, very strong 6.0 earthquakes around the globe. The seismograms around the globe are finding the same thing happening. 6.0, 6.5, and even 6.7 earthquakes have happened around the globe. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. One of them happened after approximately 11:30 last night. 11:30 last night, we had a 6.0 earthquake. Okay, I'll show you that in a few minutes. We had a 6-something over off the coast of Panama. We had another 6-something down off the coast in the Banda Sea in Indonesia. That is this earthquake that you see down here. The swirly lines down here are significant. That happened between 10:30 and 11:15 this morning. That's why you see these swirly lines here. However, one of the reasons I want to show you this diagram here at Glacier Peak is, see this blue earthquake here? See this blue earthquake here? This earthquake happened after 5:30 this morning. Over here, this earthquake happened after 5:44 this morning. 5:44 this morning. Guys, this was a 3.2 at Glacier Peak. A 3.2 at Glacier Peak here. Okay? Earthquakes are happening at all the volcanoes. All the volcanoes. Okay? Now, like I said, this diagram and many others you're going to see are showing earthquakes that happen elsewhere in the world. Now, I forgot those earthquakes that happened. Let's go take a look at them. I want to show you what earthquakes are doing here. I'm going to take this down, and we're going over to the USGS map real briefly. Okay, there's a USGS map here. I'm going to take down our webcam. I'm going to take down our EMA banner here to show you these earthquakes. What happened here? Can anybody tell me what happened here? This is the earthquake in the Banda Sea. Some of you that have been paying attention to my channel for a long time have seen what happened here. This is a 6.7 earthquake in the Banda Sea in Indonesia. A 6.7 earthquake here. Now this is out in the ocean here in the Banda Sea. Other people on these islands may have felt some of this earthquake. They probably didn't feel the brunt of the earthquake at all, but these islands did feel some movement. They didn't feel the full brunt of 6.7, but they felt earthquakes here. Now I'm going to tell you this. This earthquake is rated at 6.7 by the USGS. I'm going to tell you this right now. I looked at the scientific activity that the USGS showed. This earthquake may have been as large as a 6.5 earthquake. I mean 7.5 earthquake. This 6.7 that USGS is showing may have been as large as a 7.5 earthquake. Okay? I looked at the scientific back page at the USGS, the seismology study page. This earthquake may have been as large as a 7.5 earthquake. I think it may have been, my honest opinion, was a 7.0, 7.1, which is a major quake. USGS often does this. They downgrade the earthquakes because they don't want to admit exactly what has happened. In this case, it was out in the ocean. If this earthquake had hit land, it would have caused major devastation, especially here in Indonesia. As I said before, the people here in Indonesia don't make much money at all, especially anybody that lives on these outlying islands. Let's take a closer look at these outlying islands. You see names. These are names of small towns or villages here on this particular island. Okay? So there are people living on this island. These people probably did not feel the full brunt of that earthquake. However, because this earthquake was powerful, it was felt down here in Darwin, Australia. There was seismic energy felt here at Darwin, Australia, probably close to 4.5, 4.7 earthquake. That's what happened here in Darwin, Australia today. They felt that earthquake. That's that first signal I showed you at 1:49 this morning, Eastern Time. 1:49 this morning Eastern Time here. That's that first earthquake I showed you. The next one. It's over here off the coast of Central America here. Right here. This happened after 1:16 p.m. this afternoon Eastern Time. This was a very strong 6.2 earthquake. 6.0, 6.9 are considered to be very strong earthquakes. Very strong earthquakes. This was a 6.2. Out in the ocean. Okay? This is 206 kilometers south of Barica, Panama. Out here in the Pacific Ocean. There's one other earthquake I want to show here of significance. That's up here at the Kamchatka Peninsula here. This is over on the westernmost side of the Aleutian Island fault zone. Aleutian Island Trench here. Okay? This is a 5.0 large earthquake here. A 5.0 large earthquake here. This happened at 2:29 a.m. this morning. 2:29 a.m. this morning Eastern Time here in the United States. Yes, there are other large earthquakes here as well. Over here. This is Masamba, Indonesia here. Masamba, Indonesia here, central Indonesia. This is a 5.0 earthquake. This earthquake happened at 8:52 a.m. Eastern Time today. Large 5.0 earthquake. Now, what you're seeing here is only what USGS wants you to see. There are 32 earthquakes here in Indonesia. 32 earthquakes here in Indonesia. Guess what? USGS is only showing us part of it. There are earthquakes over here in Sumatra, Indonesia here. Northern Sumatra, Southern Sumatra. There are earthquakes here in Java, Indonesia down here. Earthquakes in central Indonesia here. But again, they're not showing them. They're only showing them what they want to see. That's it. That's it. There is an earthquake of concern here, but it's out here in this part of the ocean here in Ternate, Indonesia. This is also a 5.2 earthquake here. A large 5.2. Large earthquakes are 5.0, 5.9, regardless of what USGS wants to call them now. Last year, USGS started calling these large earthquakes moderate. There's nothing moderate about a large earthquake that does major destruction. 5.0, 5.9 earthquakes can destroy a lot of things. Moderate earthquakes don't do that. USGS is now calling moderate light. 4.0, 4.9 are considered to be light earthquakes according to USGS. 4.5 earthquakes can knock paintings off of walls, knock books and knickknacks off of shelves, rattle plates and dishes in cupboards. Sometimes a 4.8, 4.9 earthquake can rattle plates and dishes and cups and saucers and glassware out of the, rattle them so bad they fall out of cupboards. Unreal. Unreal. But USGS wants to deny what's going on. That's why they downgrade the earthquakes. That's why they don't show all the earthquakes everywhere. This earthquake here in Papua New Guinea here. This is a 4.5 here near Aveyah, Indonesia. Aveyah, Indonesia. Okay? This happened at 10:24 a.m. Pacific time this morning. Okay? Let's go over here to Europe and the Middle East. Look what USGS is not showing us. Not showing us earthquakes here in the Middle East at all. None. Absolutely none. Yet up here, I find it very hard to keep my mouth shut here. Up here in eastern Turkey, there are 32 earthquakes here in eastern Turkey. USGS is not showing any at all. There are earthquakes here in northern Turkey here and southern Turkey and western Turkey. They're not showing anything. There are earthquakes over here in the Aegean Sea here between Turkey and Greece. These islands you see here in the agency, they belong to Greece. They're called Dokanese Islands. The earthquakes here. That's because there is magma down beneath the agency trying to find a release, trying to find an eruption zone. Earthquakes here in Greece. 22 earthquakes here in Greece. USGS showing us none at all. None at all. Earthquakes here in Italy. Earthquakes here in Italy. There are earthquakes here in southern Italy, and in fact, down here in Sicily as well. 1.2, 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes here in Sicily and southern Italy. Up here, I love coming up here because we have a volcano that's beginning to erupt. There are earthquakes hitting here every day. 1.2, 1.5, 1.7, 2.2, 2.5, 2.7 earthquakes every day, and occasional 3.5 and 4.0 earthquakes hitting this area near Naples, Italy here. This volcano here has begun starting to steam here. It started to steam about 3 weeks ago. As you can see, steam continues to erupt here at Mount Vesuvius. That's why they keep getting hit with earthquakes all over this urbanized area. This whole area, folks, is full of people. This is a huge populated area here around Naples. North of the volcano, west of the volcano, and south of the volcano as well. Those people are now living in their cars for the most part. Not all of them. Some of them have gone back into their homes, but people are still living in their cars because they're getting rocked in their homes. They don't feel secure in their homes because of the earthquakes. Yet USGS does not feel that it's worth showing. Unreal. There is a seismic disturbance here in north central Italy here. North central Italy. 22 earthquakes here as well. 20 plus earthquakes hit here every day. Swarms of earthquakes every day. Most of them are 1.0 to 1.7 earthquakes or tremors, and occasionally there's a 2.2, 2.4 earthquake here as well. Swarms of earthquakes indicate that there's a large earthquake brewing. When we see swarms of earthquakes anywhere, that means there's a larger earthquake coming all the time. Earthquakes happening over here in northeastern Italy right here, just south of the Alps Mountains. Over here in southwestern Alps area here in northern Italy, earthquakes happening here, 2.0, 1.7 tremors. Here in the Alps, a lot of earthquakes happening here, tremors and minor earthquakes here. Germany, the same thing. Switzerland, the same thing here. Over here in France, the same thing. Handful of tremors and minor earthquakes here. Down here in Spain, up here at the border between France and Spain, we have 2 earthquakes here, as we normally do. There is one 1.7, I believe it is, and a 2.0 over here on the right side of this border area here between France and Spain. Southern Spain here, we have 6 earthquakes. Northern Spain, we have 2 earthquakes. Why is USGS not showing them? They should, but they're not. They don't want to be honest with anybody. This particular USGS map here says there are 249 earthquakes worldwide. What a joke. What a freaking joke. There are over 1,400 earthquakes worldwide. Over 1,400 earthquakes worldwide. And USGS is not showing them. Alan Newton's here in the chat saying large earthquakes take lives. They certainly do. They absolutely do. I've seen 5.6 earthquakes kill people. I've seen 5.9 earthquakes kill people. I've seen 5.6 earthquakes in Salt Lake City on March 18th, 2018. Destroy the city. Millions of dollars of damage all throughout Salt Lake City because of a 5.6 earthquake. 5.6 earthquake. Incredible. Out here in the northern Pacific here, along the East Pacific Rise. This is a large 5.1 earthquake here. Now we've had another earthquake over here in the Kuril Islands between Japan and Kamchatka Peninsula, Russia. This just happened. This absolutely just happened. This happened at 5:37 p.m. Eastern Time. 5:37 p.m. Eastern Time, just about 20 minutes ago. 5.8 large earthquake here. These islands are called the Kuril Islands here. The Kuril Islands here belong to Russia. The Kuril Islands here belong to Russia. As you can see, this is out in the ocean. Now, I don't believe anybody lives here on the Kuril Islands. These are isolated islands here. Yes, they belong to Russia. A 5.8 earthquake can do damage, but there is no land mass here near this earthquake. I don't believe anybody even felt that earthquake. 5.8 earthquake just happened here in the Kuril Islands. That's why these earthquakes are red. They just happen. They stay red for about 45 minutes. Then they turn normally to yellow. When I turn them from yellow to blue, that means we're looking at the earthquakes such as this one here. This is in the Izu Islands, along the Izu Trench here, just southeast of Japan here. This is a 4.8 earthquake. One other thing I want to bring to your attention here. This is south of Japan. USGS have been showing earthquakes here, swarms of earthquakes. But during the last week and a half, they've only shown maybe one earthquake or no earthquakes at all. This is a 4.5 moderate earthquake here. A 4.5 moderate earthquake here. There's a swarm over here, not just one earthquake. Now, while you're looking at this, I'm going to bring up my other device here. I'm going to show you a swarm of earthquakes. That swarm happens here every day. This is nothing new. This swarm has been happening here every day for about 6 weeks now. 6 weeks. Go figure. Go figure. Okay. Well, I've got the USGS map up. Let me show you our webcam here again. Look here. This is the European map. The European map shows 20 plus earthquakes here. 20 plus earthquakes. And yet the USGS is showing one. One earthquake. A 4.5 earthquake. It's moderate. Yes, it's a moderate earthquake. But it's a moderate earthquake there. Only one. Guess what? That shows still 20 plus earthquakes, plus 3 other earthquakes here. The 3 other earthquakes from north to south here, this is the 3.4 small earthquake. 3.0, 3.9 are small earthquakes. 3.4 small earthquake there. The one over here to the southwest is Toshima, near Toshima Island in Japan. A 2.1 earthquake here. The one that's just southwest of or southeast of there is a 2.6 minor earthquake there. Earthquakes this size in the ocean they're not even felt. Minor earthquakes, even on land, cannot be felt except by very, very sensitive people. Very sensitive people. Now, as I show you that, the map expanded. This is just some of the earthquakes here. Look at the vertical line of earthquakes and also the horizontal line of earthquakes here. Now, this hasn't happened until now. When we typically show you earthquakes horizontal and vertical like this, it means that there are military troops destroying underground military tunnels. Okay? They're destroying underground military tunnels. Okay? I'm going to show you this. This is a 4.2 moderate earthquake there. Just west of there. This is a 3.1. West of there. This is a 2.3. I can already tell you guys, these are not underground military installations. Underground military installations, you usually see minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.3, or even tremors, 1.0, 1.9. These are not that, okay? These are large earthquakes. This is a 3.4 here. Small, minor, and moderate earthquakes here in this area. South of there, we have 3.2 and 2.4. 3.2, 2.4 south of there. Two more earthquakes. A 2.1 I think we showed you a few minutes ago. And south of there, this is a 2.6 here. Other earthquakes here. Other earthquakes. North of those first earthquakes I showed you. This is a 2.9, 3.0. 2.9, 3.0 here. South of that, this is a 2.4. Fascinating, huh? Really is. A lot of earthquakes, you guys. A lot of earthquakes. A lot of earthquakes. At least 23, 24 earthquakes there just south of Japan here. 23, 24 earthquakes here south of Japan. USGS is not showing them, are they? Heaven forbid they can be honest with us. I'm sorry, guys. I just don't trust the USPS. I don't trust the USPS any further than I can throw. Now, let me take down our webcam. Let's go back to the USGS map here. I want to show you some of the things that they're not showing that are pertinent to everybody. They're pertinent to everybody. Let's go down here in southwestern Australia. Southwestern Australia, right down here. They're not showing any earthquakes down here at all, are they? Well, guess what? Down here in South Yelbeni, Australia, southwestern Australia, there is a 3.5 earthquake here. Let me bring up a webcam here. Let me show you that. This is a 3.57 earthquake here in southwestern Australia. USPS doesn't believe in showing you what's going on. Not at all. As I said, there was 22 or 24 earthquakes here in Indonesia. Look at that. USGS not showing them. They have no intention of showing them. Let me show you something else. Let's pull out of southwestern Australia over here. Let's go over here to the Solomon Islands and also to Vanuatu. Solomon Islands, Vanuatu. Actually, it's Vanuatu. I thought it was encompassing the Solomon Islands as well. Vanuatu. Look at all the earthquakes here in Vanuatu. USGS not showing any at all. None. None whatsoever. That's a 2.6. Just south of there is a 2.8. 2.8. West, east of there is a 3.3. East of there is a 3.6. East of there is a 3.8. They increased in magnitude as the seismology or seismic signals got larger. They increased in size, didn't they? South of there, in New Caledonia, this is a 2.2 earthquake here. 2.2 earthquake there. We're not stopping. We're not going to stop. Let's go over to Fiji. North of Fiji, there's some islands called Alo, Wallis, Futuna. Alo, Wallis, Futuna, we have a 4.5 earthquake there. 4.5 earthquake. Let's see what USGS had to say. This is the 4.5 earthquake in Wallis, Futuna. Just south of there is a 4.6 earthquake here. Yes, we're still showing that here on the European map. Two more earthquakes here in Fiji. This is a 4.5 earthquake here. 4.5 earthquake. This earthquake I'm presently showing you here in Fiji, near Luvuka, Fiji, is a 4.6. Guess what? That's a deep quake. That's a deep quake. That is 552 kilometers deep. A deep quake. This 4.6 is going to propagate a much larger, shallower quake within the next 3 to 10 days. Large, deep, or not large, but deep earthquakes propagate future quakes. The future quake is going to hit this region or west or east of it within the next 3 to 10 days. This 4.6 is going to propagate a 5.3, 5.4 earthquake. It's going to propagate a 5.3, 5.4 earthquake within the next 3 to 10 days. Let's go south. This is a 4.2 or 4.5 earthquake south of the PG Islands. This is somewhat of a shallow quake, only 183 kilometers deep, a shallow quake. That's a 4.5. This earthquake here is a 4.7, south of the PG Islands. That's going to propagate a much larger earthquake. Much larger earthquake. That's 552 kilometers deep. This earthquake is going to propagate a 5.5 to 5.6 earthquake within the next 3 to 10 days. It's going to propagate a much larger 5.5 to 5.6 earthquake within the next 3 to 10 days. Jeremy Christopher's here in the chat saying, wonder what they're really hiding. Absolutely. That's what I say every day. Every day that I come here, I say the same thing because they're hiding information. Totally hiding information. Let me show you something that they're really trying to hide. Over here in New Zealand, they're not showing any earthquakes here in New Zealand. That's south of New Zealand. They're showing one earthquake here. So they're showing a 4.6 earthquake that is allegedly in the Auckland Islands. The Auckland Islands of New Zealand. This is a 4.6 moderate earthquake, 10 kilometers deep. 10 kilometers deep. Guess what? There are more earthquakes here. There are a lot more earthquakes here, north of New Zealand here, and I'm going up here into the Kermadec Islands here. Sometimes the USPS will show us the Kermadec Islands. Sometimes they don't. This is a 4.02 moderate earthquake in the Kermadec Islands. 4.02 moderate earthquake. South of there. This is a 4.6 earthquake here. Moderate earthquake. 4.6 moderate earthquake here. Let's take a look at the depth of this earthquake. This says it's 20 kilometers deep or 20 miles deep. This means it's a very shallow quake. Very shallow earthquake. Okay? Let's go back. Okay?
So President Trump has lost his patience with Putin and is ending Joe Biden's...
Okay. I'm sorry for that. If you want to hear that story, I'll play it for you in a few minutes. But again, that's a 4.6 earthquake. This is a 3.3 here. A 3.3 small earthquake there. It goes on. It goes on. North of New Zealand, we also have a 2.7. See that area where it says Auckland on the USGS map, guys? Shows Auckland on the USGS map. That area to the right is called the Bay of Plenty. I frequently have referred to it as the catcher's mitt. We're going into the catcher's mitt with these earthquakes. USGS not showing any here at all. This is a 2.29 minor earthquake there. Going further south, 2.28, 3.0, 2.28 and 3.0 right there. Going further south into the catcher's mitt here, this is a 2.37 in the Bay of Plenty there. 2.37 minor earthquake there. Now, I want to go down here into New Zealand here. This is Tawera Bay of Plenty region on land this time. This is a 2.31 earthquake. Over to the east side here, Hawke's Bay region, New Zealand, 2.31 earthquake here. 2.31 earthquake there. Let's go south. Look at this earthquake fault coming out of Fiji. That same earthquake fault that you saw in Fiji comes all the way down here and enters the North Island of New Zealand right here. Right here, we have a 2.27 earthquake. Just southwest of there is a 3.26. 3.26. Then we come further south here. This is the 2.49. These are minor earthquakes here. But we come down here to the center of the North Island. When we bring that up here on the USGS map, right here. I'm trying to make sure you see it. It's called Topol Lake. Topol Lake here. Topol Lake is a super volcano. I'm going to say it again. Topol Lake is a super volcano. Jeremy Christopher is asking, solar activity has something to do with that? Yes, it does. When we have solar eruptions on the sun, I'm telling you about these great big huge solar storms erupting from the sun. Plasma radiation. Plasma radiation. When we get a solar flare that's like a magnitude M solar flare, or even an X, which is the largest solar flare that you can have, when we get these solar flares launching from the sun, they come to the Earth like this. They hit the Earth facing the sun like this. They envelope the Earth like this. The plasma radiation enters the magnetosphere that is supposed to help protect our planet, but we came 2 years ago, we came out of the solar minimum. Now we have entered the solar maximum. During the solar maximum, usually our magnetosphere strengthens. It's not strengthened to the way it was before the solar minimum, or during the solar minimum when it ended. So we have a weak magnetosphere here. The solar plasma radiation comes through the magnetosphere, goes through our atmosphere, and right to and directly to the surface of the Earth. It goes through the surface of the Earth all the way to the center of the Earth, the core of the Earth. On the way to the core of the Earth, it also heats up the plates. All the gunk and grime, all the gravel, the sand, and other material, the biological materials, well, the dead plants and everything else that have wilted and everything else, they're holding the plates together, holding the faults together. That gunk and grime turns into an oily, greasy-like substance, allows the plates and the earthquake faults to more freely move. That's why we're seeing these earthquakes today. Some of these earthquakes happen on faults. Some of these earthquakes happen on faults, but not all of them. What happened up here? Right up here to the north here in Fiji Islands, and over further north here in the Tongan Islands here, we're not seeing any earthquakes here in the Tonga Islands, but over here in Fiji and Wallis Futuna we are. Here, the plasma radiation hit here in the plates. This is a part of the Australian India plate here. Okay? Heats up the plates, causing the plates to more freely move. But here in this Indo-Australian area, guess what? There are 7 different plates here. 7 different plates interacting with each other. One plate subducting under the other here. That's what we're seeing here. One plate subducting under the other here. That's why we're seeing earthquakes here. The same thing holds true up here in the Kuril Islands here. This is the edge of the plate here. Over here in the Kamchatka Peninsula, the same thing holds true here. It's the edge of the plate between Russia and the Pacific Ocean here. The Aleutian Island Trench here is part of the plate. Part of the plate. This earthquake that struck here off of Kamchatka Peninsula, here on the in the southwestern part of the Aleutian Island Fault. That seismic energy is going to travel east along the Aleutian Island Fault here. We're going to see more earthquakes here around this area here in the Atka area of the Aleutian Islands here. We're going to see more earthquakes over here in the southwestern peninsula of Alaska. Large earthquakes here. We're already seeing some minor earthquakes here. For example, this earthquake is a 2.1 minor earthquake here. North of there here, this is a minus 0.6. Minus numbers indicate below sea level. This is Dutch Harbor, Alaska. 26 kilometers west-southwest of Dutch Harbor, Alaska. Minus 0.6 microquake. Guess what? It's a deep quake. It's a deep quake. It's 6.2 kilometers deep. It's a fairly shallow quake, but it's still deeper. Still deeper. Okay? This earthquake up here along the peninsula here, this is near Sandpoint, Alaska, a 1.3 tremor here. We're going to see these earthquakes get larger here in the next few days as that 5.0 travels from Kamchatka Peninsula over here to Alaska. As this energy here that hit here in 5.8 here in the Kuril Islands, it's going to also go north along this same fault zone. Along this same fault zone up here to the Aleutian Islands, then it as well is going to travel through the Aleutian Islands here up to Alaska. Now, what is going on in Alaska? We have a lot of seismic energy hold up here in Alaska, in the Gulf of Alaska. I am fully expecting one day to see a major earthquake to happen here in Alaska. We have not seen a major earthquake happen here in 6 years. We haven't seen a major earthquake hit here in 6 years. The last earthquake hit up here in Anchorage, Alaska here in 2019. It was a 7.1 earthquake here in Anchorage, Alaska in 2019. It's going to happen again. Now, it could happen in Anchorage or it could happen actually out here in the Gulf of Alaska. We've seen that happen before as well. Okay, getting back here to the Pacific Northwest. Again, the USGS is not showing hardly anything going on here. I'm telling you, there's a lot of earthquakes here. A ton of earthquakes here. Up at the Canadian-US border here. This is Maple Falls, Washington. This is 9 kilometers, approximately 4 miles north of Maple Falls, Washington. Look where it's at. Look at that earthquake. When you see these yield sign earthquakes, these diamond earthquakes, USGS has labeled this as an explosion. An explosion. Interesting. An explosion in an open forested area. In an open forested area. Look at this. This may be near a farm here. It was not an explosion. I get notified of explosions. Yes, when we have an explosion, I get notifications, but this was not an explosion. This is actually a 1.1 tremor. It's an earthquake, a seismic event, not an explosion. Not explosion at all. When we see stuff like this, I have nothing but contempt for USGS. I have nothing but contempt for USGS. I'm coming out right here with you. Nothing but contempt for USGS. Why? Because, guys, it could be an exploding tree. Spontaneous combustion carnivorous. Now, Demon Catman, you see here in the chat, he's a dear friend of mine. He came up with this meme for me. Spontaneous combustion carnivorous, an exploding tree. Then we have a chipmunk that says, heck, it just exploded. It just exploded. Yeah. Folks, these are not explosions. Not explosions. When you see one of those yield sign events here, most of the time it's not an explosion at all. Most of the time it's not an explosion at all. It's a seismic event. But they don't want you to know that. It's actually 8 miles north of Maple Falls, Washington. It's actually in Canada. That is actually in Canada, guys. Unreal. Okay. This, guys, is Glacier Peak. This is Glacier Peak. This happened at 51 minutes after midnight last night. This is a 1.6 tremor. As I showed you the seismograph at Glacier Peak, yes, it did show tremors here. But they're still not showing the 3.1 earthquake that hit Glacier Peak last night. Of course not. They don't want anybody to even think that it happened. They are also not showing much of anything else. They're showing this here near Point Roberts, Washington. 1.1 tremor here near Point Roberts, Washington. What's this, guys? This is a Puget Sound area. The Puget Sound area of Washington state. 1.1 tremor. Down here in the south of Puget Sound here is a 2.1 minor earthquake. Interesting. Interesting. Because guess what? They're not showing any of the other earthquakes that are here. I happen to know on very good knowledge that there are more earthquakes here that they're not showing us because they happen to not show much of anything. I want to show you this. Mount Rainier. What are they showing here, guys? What are they showing here? 50 plus earthquakes. 50 plus earthquakes here at Mount Rainier. Why are they not showing those? Why are they not showing all those earthquakes at Mount Rainier? Because they don't believe they want anybody to know what's really going on. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. This is Mount Rainier here. These are all tremors here. These are all tremors, and actually, this is the most earthquakes I've seen here by USGS at this map, or on this map. Yes, for the most part. That is a 1.0 tremor. This is a 0.4 microquake. This is a 0.6. This is a 1.1. This is a 0.4. This is a 1.4. This one up here. These are all at the summit, guys. These are all at the summit. This is 0.3. This is a 1.1 tremor. This is at 2 kilometers deep. I'm sorry, not 2 kilometers, 0.2 kilometers deep. An eighth of a mile deep. Just below the summit. Yes, these tremors here could be caused by surface water. Surface water movement beneath the summit here. Surface water. There are glaciers out up here at Mount Rainier. Glaciers all over Mount Rainier, but the summit glaciers have pretty much melted. Not quite, but some of them have partially melted. When we have a major eruption, what's going to happen with these glaciers? When we have a major eruption here, what's going to happen with these glaciers? The water's going to run down this mountain like a fury, isn't it? Along the creeks and streams, down the rivers here. They're going to run into populated areas, both west and east, north and south of the mountain, causing massive flooding. It's called lahars. When there's a major eruption and these glaciers melt and the lava mixes with the water, the cold water, it's going to be a catastrophic eruption. That hot lava mixing with this very cold water is going to cause a catastrophic eruption. These glaciers are going to melt. There's going to be massive water coming down the side of this mountain. lahars, debris, rock, ash, trees, limbs, everything from this mountain is going to go down in the lahar. When this blast erupted, there were no lahar sirens at all. No lahar sirens at all. However, back in 2020, we reported the earthquakes happening here. We were reporting earthquakes around the world then at that time. At that time, off the southwest summit of Mount Rainier, off the side of the volcano here, all the snow and ice left the side of the volcano and slid down the mountain. Heck, there is magma inside the mountain, melting the snow and ice. Ice and snow melted here and fell down the side of the mountain, and I reported on it. I even showed video of it. USGS denied it. USGS denied that it happened. But within a very short time afterwards, they had to admit that it happened. Why? Because they had people reporting lahars. They had people reporting lahars. All that ice and the snow from the southwest summit came down the side of the mountain. We showed you video of it happening. USGS denied it. They had to soon admit it because the rivers here and streams became swollen. Trees and ice, rock came down the mountain. It destroyed roadways. It destroyed campgrounds at the bottom of the mountain. Unreal. Again, USGS lies to us all the time. They're still not showing us all the earthquakes here. They're not showing us the 3.0s here. 3.0s, 3.1, 3.3s, and even 3.5, 4.0 earthquakes that have happened here. They're not showing it because they're lying to the public. They're absolutely lying to the public here. Now, while these tremors here are very, very, very high here, they're not deep earthquakes, they're very, very high here. There is something else happening out here on the foothills of Mount Rainier. The foothills of Mount Rainier right here. Guess what this is? This is a 1.0 tremor. This is a 1.0 tremor, guys. This happens to be 3 miles deep. 6.5 kilometers, 3 miles deep. In the foothills of Mount Rainier. Why does USGS lie to us? Why does USGS lie to us? The European map is also showing that 1.0 tremor here in the foothills of Mount Rainier. Why are they lying to us, guys? They're not showing any earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens at all. Nothing. Not anything. Why not? They're also not showing anything at Mount Adams. There are earthquakes here. There are earthquakes here. They're also not showing anything at Mount Hood. Nothing down here at Bachelor. Nothing down here at Sisters. Why not? Why not? They're also not showing any earthquakes down here at Crater Lake. Why not? Because they don't want to admit there's issues here. They don't want to admit what's going on here. There's a lot going on, unfortunately. Let's take the earthquake map down. I showed you the major earthquakes all over the world. I've showed you some seismograms. Let's get back to some seismograms here at the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. What I'm showing you here This is the seismic map here. This is the tremor map here. USGS is not showing this, but the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network is. The PNSN is. Why is USGS not showing us this? Up here just south of Olympia, Washington, look at all these tremors here. Why is USGS not showing them? There's 150 tremors here around Mount Rainier. USGS might have shown us 18. Europeans have showed us 50. How about here, just west of Salem, Oregon? Just west of Salem, Oregon here. Tremors here. How about further south here? Like I said, there are 180 tremors here on the tremor map. Down here south of Medford, Oregon. More tremors here at the Oregon-California border. Why are they not showing us all this information here? Because they're scared. I believe the USGS is scared of being honest with the public. As I said before, I have nothing to gain by showing you this information. Nothing. Nothing. Yes, someone gave us a $10 super chat here earlier. I appreciate that support. Sometimes we go days and weeks without getting any super chats. We go days and weeks without getting anything in our PayPal or Venmo. We've gone a month or so now, we haven't got anything to our post box. No support of any kind. Last month, we got quite a few people to support us here on the super chats. We appreciate that. Because you guys giving us support on the super chats help us keep this program on the air. It takes a lot of money to keep these programs on the air. I pay $253 a month for bandwidth to broadcast this show. Incredible. But this is what's happening in Washington and Oregon today. USGS doesn't want to talk about it, do they? But what I'm about to show you, there are other earthquakes as well. Let's go over to northwestern Washington at Fildago Island. Fildago Island, guys. Let me reduce this seismogram in size so you can see it properly. Sorry, I increased the size of that tremor map so you can see it. Look at this, guys, Fildago Island. What's going on here? Here you see a lot of tremors, don't you? A ton of tremors. There are even some minor earthquakes here as well. For example, this minor earthquake on this red line over here on the right-hand side. This happened after about 9:24 a.m. this morning. 9:24 a.m. this morning, a 3.0 earthquake here. Fildago Island. Did USGS show it to us? No, they didn't. Yes, there are tremors. You see these longer vertical lines here? These are minor earthquakes. 2.3, 2.4 over here on the right on the red line, or I'm in the left on the red line here. This happened after 12:15, approximately 12:19 a.m. this morning, or p.m. this afternoon. 10:15 a.m. this morning, 10:15 a.m. this morning. These other events over here in the center here, this other event here is also after 10, it's on the red line here. This is 10:42 a.m. this morning. 10:42 a.m. this morning. On this black line here, over on the left-hand side, it would be 11 a.m. This black line here, this is 11:12 a.m. here. 11:12 a.m. here. This is a 2.0 earthquake. These other marks on this seismogram are all tremors. They're all tremors here. Now you do see on this black and blue line here, that is what they call artifact. These are neither earthquakes, tremors, or magma. It's artifact, meaning it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything, artifact. What you're seeing here are tremors, minor earthquakes, and that's about all, and 3.0. And this is at an island, northwestern Washington, Philadelphia Island. What else is going on that they didn't tell us about? Let's go over to Grays Harbor. The other day I showed you a picture of Grays Harbor. Guess what we have here? This is a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake that occurred just after 9, I want to say 9:09, almost 9:10. I'll say not 19. This is 7:10, 7:09 p.m. yesterday after evening. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake, possibly 2.9, 3.0. All the rest of these are all tremors here. All the rest of these markings are all tremors here. Okay? What else do we have here? Let me show you. Gwynedd Island. Gwynedd Island. Up here at the top, 5 p.m. over here on the top black line. The red line is 5:15. Tremors. However, we get seeing some earthquakes here later this morning. What do we have here? On this black line again, the black line here is 10 a.m. Over here we have 10:13 a.m. with a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Further to the right, also on the black line, we have some minor 2.2, 2.4, 2.5 earthquakes here. On the blue line beneath that is all tremors. All that is tremors. Again, this is in the Cascadia subduction zone area. The Cascadia subduction zone region, guys. You got to remember where these earthquakes are. Let's continue this. Let's go over to Loomy Island, Washington. Look here. Up at the top, we have a bunch of tremors, don't we? A lot of tremors. Heidi Petrick just gave us another $20 super chat. Thank you, Heidi. God bless you for that. We appreciate that a lot. I just gave you an EMA sticker and also a thumbs up on your super chat. God bless you, Heidi. Appreciate it. Heidi gives us super chats. Heidi also sends us new members to our channel here. 1 month memberships. She gave us 5 1-month memberships here earlier. Now she just gave us another super chat here. Thank you so much for everything you do here. Heidi's given us super chats here during the last 3 weeks. God bless you for that. She's been giving us super chats for months now. Heidi's awesome. Heidi's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Guys, this is Loomy Island. Down here at the bottom. Yes, you see tremors here. But down here on this red line here. Down here on this red line, let's enlarge that so you can see what's going on. This red line on the left-hand side is 12:15. Over here on the center here is about 12:07 p.m. this afternoon when the first tremors first happened. We had 1.1, 1.2 tremors, then pretty soon 1.7 tremors, then pretty soon a 2.0 earthquake. Before it's over, the longest lines here are 2.8 earthquakes. 2.8 minor earthquakes here. Then going down to the right, it almost looks like a triangle going out to the right. That is called a secondary wave. secondary wave. That tells us the secondary wave of the earthquakes usually tell us how strong these earthquakes are. The length of the secondary earthquakes tell us how strong these earthquakes are, irregardless of what USGS wants to say about it. But we have a bunch of tremors here as well as upwards of a 2.8 earthquake here. Okay, Loomy Island. Yet USGS doesn't want any part of it. They don't want to admit what's actually going on here. They never do. Now let's go over to Radar Ridge at Nassau, Washington. Radar Ridge at Nassau, Washington. Look what's happening here. Tremors. Tremors. And even then it's harmonic tremors at some point. Harmonic tremors. Then at the bottom of this diagram, you see here, late this morning, early afternoon, we see regular tremors here. Magma, guys. Magma coming off the Pacific Ocean headed for the volcanoes here. That's why I want to show you this. Harmonic tremors are magma. Harmonic tremors are magma in a magma channel down beneath the earth that we walk on, the crust of the earth we walk on. Magma channels coming off the Pacific Ocean headed towards volcanoes. That's what's going on here. That's what's happened here at Nassau, Washington. We've got more. We've got more. Let's go over to Tioga Law Enforcement Unit in Washington. Again, this is along the coastline of Washington. Look at this. Tons of tremors. Why is USGS not showing us this? They're not showing us this. Why not? Inquiring minds want to know why not. Why not? How about Willapa Harbor, Washington? Again, along the coastline. What do we see here? Yes, we have tremors here, but we're also seeing harmonic tremors as well. A magma channel is located under Willapa, Washington. The magma channel headed over to a volcano. Okay. Again, USGS does not want to show it because they want to have plausible deniability. Plausible deniability. Oh, we didn't realize it. I'm sorry. We didn't know Mount Rainier was going to erupt. We didn't know that Mount St. Helens was going to erupt. That's why they let people go back to Mount St. Helens in 1980. Things calmed down around Mount St. Helens and they allowed people to go back to Mount St. Helens. That's why 57 people got killed. That's why 57 people got killed. Now, I've already showed you earthquakes at Mount Rainier. I'm going to show you a lot more now. I'm going to show you a lot more now. I want to show you what's going on land because I showed you the earthquakes on the USGS map. And again, they're not showing everything. They never do. They never do. They never will. They never will. This is Glacier Peak. I showed you Mount Rainier before. Let's go over to Mount St. Helens now. This is one of the seismograms at Mount St. Helens. Hurricane Heather just gave us another $5 super chat. Thank you, Heather. Heather's one of our mods here. Heather's one of my dear sisters. She's not blood sister, but she's one of my sisters, and I highly regard her. She's an awesome lady. She gives us weather updates all the time. She's a weather lady here on our channel. God bless you, Hurricane Heather. We love you very much. She gave us a $5 super chat. I gave you an EMA sticker and I gave you a thumbs up on that super chat. God bless you. Heather's awesome. Cam is here in the chat saying he's been at Mount Rainier. I don't know about this time of year, but isn't there a lot of hiking going up there? At this time of year, usually, yes. Some of those hikers are feeling the 3.0 earthquakes. Yes, 3.0 earthquakes people feel, and we've even had a 4.5 earthquakes here at Mount Rainier. When do they tell us things? Rarely do they ever tell us anything. Rarely do they ever tell us anything. All they are saying about Mount Rainier is their tremors near the summit. I showed you the other earthquakes happening at Mount Rainier. They're denying it. Them not saying anything about it is a denial. Cam says he has to depend on us to get the information. That's why we're here. There is no other YouTube channel showing you this information. Yes, they might look at the USGS map, but that's all they do. I'm showing you the actual seismogram so you know what's going on. This one is at Mount St. Helens, by the way. Good old Mount St. Helens. There are earthquakes here. You can see it. For the most part, these are minor earthquakes. Minor earthquakes. That blue one here at the top, near the top of this seismogram, this happened after 7:30 last night. Approximately 7:35 last night. That is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Before that, a 2.4. Okay, there are hardly any tremors leading up to that. All of a sudden, it just happened. 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Magma in the volcano. Magma inside that volcano caused that earthquake. There's another earthquake here on this red line here. Near the top, you can see it here. It's a very thin red line here. Actually, I'm sorry, it's a blue line. It's a blue line. This happened after 20, 30 hours, which is 8:30. Over on the left side, that would be 8:30. Over here, now we are at 8:08 or 8:38 p.m. last night. 8:38 p.m. last night. You see other tremors here. But down here, further down here, just after 2:30 this morning on this blue line, you see another 2.3 earthquake. 2.3 earthquake here this morning. Okay? It happened at about 2:39 a.m. this morning. Over here later this afternoon, over here at 12:15, on this side, this is 12:29 p.m. this afternoon on the right-hand side. Okay? Mount St. Helens is moving. Mount St. Helens is moving in a big way. Let us show you the seismogram showing you movement within the volcano. Magma coming into the volcano like this. Look at that. Now, we showed you those other earthquakes yesterday evening, didn't we? And early this morning. We had literally no major earthquake activity at all last night. Yes, we had some minor earthquake activity. They're not showing hardly any magma movement here at Mount St. Helens yesterday evening. But you saw a minor earthquake happen. Now, wouldn't it seem to reason that if we had more magma movement, we would have seen that 2.5, 2.6 happen, right? Absolutely. But again, they're not showing us all the details. Even on this particular seismogram, they're not showing all the magma movement here. This is the VLF wave seismogram. This is Mount St. Helens SCP BDF CC01. This is the magma movement at Mount St. Helens today, last night and today. Now, we did see an increase in magma movement happen after 10 p.m. last night. 2200 last night, we've seen an increase in magma movement here. These wavy lines increased, didn't they? But they're still not, on the other side, Graham, they're still not showing us earthquakes that happened at Mount St. Helens. There have been earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens, but they're just not showing it. They don't want to show us what's going on. They lie about what's going on. There is a differentiation between each seismogram. When one seismogram at that one volcano says one thing and the other seismogram says another, there's a problem. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network and USGS are lying about what's going on here. They are lying through their teeth about what's going on here. Again, Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens appear to be in a pre-eruptive state. Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens appear to be in a pre-eruptive state. I'm telling you. Now, let's go over to Mount Hood. I want to show you Mount Hood before we get out of here. We've already been on the air a long time here, almost 2 full hours. I didn't mean to do that. Did not mean to be on the air that long. I wanted to come on the air here and talk about what's going on. But we talked about a lot of earthquakes worldwide as well. That's the reason for it. Mount Hood is moving in a big way. This is a seismogram at Mount Hood at Timberline. Timberline is at Government Camp on the southern side of Mount Rainier. Or not Mount Rainier, Mount Hood. Mount Hood. Timberline is a seismograph sitting out Mount Hood at Government Camp on the south side of Mount Hood. Okay, look at this. You see tremors here? The top of this seismogram here is 5 p.m. on the top black line. You see tremors here. This black line here after 7 p.m. You see 1900 over on the left-hand side, 1900 hours, shows 19 there, that's 7 p.m. We come over to just after 7:01, we see a 2.0 earthquake, accompanied by a bunch of tremors, don't we? Down here on this red line here, this red line is 10:15 p.m. last night. Look at the harmonic tremors happening before and after that. Harmonic tremors, but look what happened with those harmonic tremors. It caused earthquake, didn't it? On this red line here, approximately 10:04 p.m. last night, 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. 2.6, 2.7 earthquake at approximately 10:04, 10:05 last night. 2.6, 2.7 earthquake caused by magma coming into this magma chamber. Look at the other harmonic tremors here. Now you see that weird curly line here we saw on that other seismogram earlier? Mount Hood here. That is a Panamanian earthquake. The 6.2, 6.3, whatever it was, that's what we're showing here. The seismic energy ripples through the entire Earth, and these larger, very strong, and major earthquakes show up on other seismograms. Usually it doesn't happen with large 5.0, 5.9, but it happens with 6.0 to 7.5, 8.5, 9.5. These earthquakes show up on other seismograms. That's what we're seeing here. At the bottom of this seismogram here at Timberline, Mount Hood, you see more tremors, more harmonic tremors here. Magma is coming into Mount Hood on a very real basis. Last week we showed you magma harmonic tremors coming into Mount Hood on a larger scale, almost fully covering the seismogram. Almost fully covering the seismogram. Mount Hood is moving in a big way. As I said before, it appears that Mount Hood may be in a pre-eruptive state as well. What do I have to say about that? Look at this seismogram here. This seismogram comes from Lamberson Butte. Lamberson Butte. Look at this. Look at all these wavy lines here. Folks, what should we be seeing here? Earthquakes. We see all these VLF waves here, we should be seeing earthquakes. A lot of earthquakes. We're not. But again, why are we not seeing them? Because USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network are erasing the activity. They're not showing it to us. Plausible deniability. Plausible deniability. When the earthquakes happen and the mountain erupts, what are they going to say? Oh, we didn't realize it. We didn't realize it. All we've seen are tremors and minor earthquakes. We didn't realize it was such a big deal. They know darn well what's going on. They can see these seismograms as well. They are erasing even these VLF wave seismograms. They're erasing the earthquakes off the other seismograms as well. Plausible deniability. As I said before when I first started this broadcast, the entire Cascade Mountain system from north of the Canadian border up to Haida Gwaii, Queen Charlotte Island, all the way down to the Cascade volcanoes, Mount Shasta and Lassen in Northern California, they're all moving. I wish I had more time, I'd show you each one of them. They're all moving. Mount Lassen is moving more than Mount Shasta is, however. Mount Lassen is moving more than Mount Shasta, but Mount Shasta is also showing activity as well. And even Heather that lives up there has felt it. Okay? I want to thank everybody that's been here with us today. I want to thank all of you for being here. It's amazing what you do for us. It's amazing what you do for us. We love and appreciate each one of you. Now, as I do at the end of these broadcasts, I want to share something more spiritual with you. I want again to go to one of my favorite scriptures here in the New Testament. One of my favorite scriptures here, guys, is a beautiful scripture. It's in Philippians chapter 1, verses 3, 4, and 5. Philippians chapter 1, verses 3, 4, and 5. I thank my God upon every remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine, for you, all making requests with joy, for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now. I mean that in the strongest language. I care and love each one of you. I care about you and your families. I care about you and your families. That's why we show the information we have with you. We want to help protect you. We want to give you this information so that you can prepare for what's happening. Emergency Management Associates is doing nothing but showing you information and showing you ways to prepare for emergencies and disasters that are going to happen in your lives. That's what we do. On Fridays, we try to devote Fridays to Preparedness Fridays, showing you what's going on so that you can prepare for emergencies and disasters that happen in your lives. We love each one of you. We truly love each one of you. We thank you for your presence here. We ask you also to tell your friends, your neighbors, your family, your extended family, the people you associate with on social media, and also the people you work with. Tell them about this program. Show them what we showed you tonight. Ask them to come over here and see it for themselves. That's why we keep posting these programs on YouTube. They're here on YouTube so people can come back here and look at what we do here. And the programs here on YouTube that we have here, when it shows emergency preparedness in the headline, that is a day we talk about a lot about preparedness actions, what you need to do to prepare your family and even your friends for what's going on. That's why we have this here. We do it for you. And we ask you to stay prepared as well. Okay? Stay prepared. We care. Share this program far and wide, guys. Share far and wide. Yes, we have strife in our countries, Canada and the United States, other countries as well as England. Yes, England. England has its share of strife as well, unfortunately. My relatives came from Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and England as well. Some of them came from Germany as well. So I'm very fond of those countries. I want to help people prepare. And folks, we have people here that watch this program from those countries. From Australia, from New Zealand, Indonesia even. A while back, I had one woman from Indonesia that was asking why they were getting earthquakes in New Zealand, in Indonesia. And I told her, because there are 7 different tectonic plates in that area. Each tectonic plate is subducting, going under the tectonic plate like this. That's what's causing all those earthquakes down around Indonesia, over in Australia, and down in Tonga, Fiji, and down even into New Zealand. Tectonic plate earthquakes. That's what's happening. Guys, I hope you have a good night and a better tomorrow. If anything happens tonight, we'll be back here to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. We do that tonight or in the morning. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow afternoon, just after 4 p.m. Eastern Time. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. God bless your countries as well. We love and appreciate you a lot. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a good night, guys. Much love. See you soon.